Hi. So I do want to clarify in the video. Uh, it's not. Like I said in the video, it's not anything scripted at all. It's not at all. So some of the things that I may talk about may seem very incoherent. It's really just because my train of thought is just all fucked up. I just can't think straight majority of the time, especially when I'm like dealing with emotions a lot. So if things don't make sense, understand I'm just stupid and I don't know how to talk. Uh, or stay on topic about anything. Pretty sure that it involves me with being neurodivergent. But yeah, that's all I have to say beforehand. Hi. Um, I obviously I'm trying to make a video. I kind of have the motivation to make one right now, but I don't really do scripts or anything like that. So I'm just making this on a whim. That's mostly because I really don't care. Um, but I wanted to really talk about a whole lot of stuff. Uh, and I want to try to see if I want to do something different with my fucking channel. I'll explain in a bit, but uh, it does have to correlate with what I want to talk about. So earlier, I finished watching a video. It was the video by Patricia Taxon about how like her interpretation on "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared" as a autistic person, things like that, and she explained a lot of like things with how society and things like that really stigmatize and fuck and discriminate against people who are neurodivergent in general. She said that she got diagnosed earlier on in her life, and she went through special ed, and she said it was fucking hell. Now, recently, I have found out that obviously I'm not officially diagnosed, but I found out that I'm autistic, and I possibly also have ADHD. Um, and it's strange. It's not strange being autistic, but it's strange realizing and trying to deal with it because there's a lot that like I am personally having to deal with trying to understand what it is being autistic, what it means, what it like how I can work with it and how to not mask me being autistic anymore, how to at least lower the mask as much as I can. Um and like personally, I didn't really watch Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. I'm not much of a fan of it. It's interesting. I just anxiety inducing. I only watched a couple of episodes. I think it was the first season when my sister showed me it no hell of a long time ago. And it was very anxiety inducing and like very much sensory overloading. Um and Patricia Taxon does explain that. And if I want to put my proper opinion on Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, I should watch it. I'm probably not going to put my whole opinion on it. Really, what I wanted to say is like figuring out that I'm autistic more recently and trying to deal with it and figuring out that like throughout my whole entire life I've had to mask because nobody understood since my parents were young parents, they didn't understand being what it is having an autistic child. Um, and uh, a lot of the trauma that Patricia Taxon has been through compared to me is it's different. It's very much different, but I feel like they do overlap with a decent amount of the stuff, especially with being forced to be a specific way. You know, I don't like I don't like being quote unquote normal. It's stressful for me. I always have hated organized religion. I don't like being forced into that. Um, like personally, I'm agnostic right now, and I dread whenever somebody tries to talk to me about like Christianity or anything that involves those things because it's just like I don't feel like I fit that standard. I don't feel like I would be able to fit that standard. Um, and it's a lot of stuff. It's really really hard to elaborate in words, especially if I'm not doing a script or anything like that. But pretty much like one of the things that she really focused on with interpreting the whole entire fucking season is that it's shows a lot of confusion, like especially with yellow guy. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be some form of representation for being neurodivergent. Um, and it the whole entire idea of being stuck in a fucking like a whirlwind of confusion is insufferable. I don't really know how to describe it. It's extremely hard to it's extremely hard to describe it because I have nothing to compare it to. No, I've lived my whole entire life like this, and now I'm actually discovering that a lot of the shit that I've been through when I was younger, the way that I moved through life was because of me being neurodivergent, and realizing that a lot of the things that people have done to me because I didn't fit a specific standard was discrimination, and it just piles on to the sheer amount of fucking discrimination that I already go through every single day being person of color and queer and all these things. But I have to watch Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. I personally am kind of scared to watch it um because I don't want to experience sensory overloads more than I already do on a daily basis. Uh it's really really exhausting trying to get through those. No, I want to try to explain more of my experiences being neurodivergent, at least what I've been recognizing a lot more. Um, I just had something and I completely forgot what it was. Uh, but it's one of the biggest things, like I was talking about earlier, was I tend to go through a lot of sensory overloads, a lot more than I realize. And in retrospect, I realized that I have been through a lot of sensory overloads. Um, Throughout my life, I just became extremely, extremely good at masking having a sensory overload. I thought personally, I thought that like the fucking pain that you feel whenever like I don't know, like a fire alarm rings in a school is normal. I thought everybody did that. And I always wanted to cover my ears, but nobody else was doing it except for the people who were diagnosed being autistic. And like I guess I wanted to not be looked at as being weird. I didn't want to fall out of the the standard of being a normal person, but it was genuine pain to I just couldn't help myself. I'd have to cover my fucking ears. So now I literally I have like I always have two sets of headphones on me at all times. Like I have a small thing of earbuds and a headset that I usually wear throughout the day. And I have to buy new ones because the ones that they have are kind of shit. Um, Along with that, one of the other things that I've had to figure out what to do is stimming. Um, without being seen as weird. And I have figured out ways of stimming without it being out of the norm, quote unquote. Um, I'm saying quote unquote a lot because I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Um, I figured out some ways of stimming, and it not really being seen as abnormal. One of them is literally singing. Whenever I listen to music, I usually sing, or I have a song repeating in my head, and I usually repeat what the song is doing or the melody. Usually hum the melody or something like that as a form of stimming, um, because I've done that throughout my whole entire life. And even recently, I've learned how to play guitar. I've already put like 2 videos up for playing guitar. Um, 2, 3, I don't fucking know. Uh, and there's one more thing that I can currently think of with that's related to me being autistic is, and it kind of makes me feel very disconnected. It gives me a lot of imposter syndrome thinking of that. Like thinking of it is like alexithymia. If you don't know what alexithymia is, it's pretty much it's a co-occurring condition that can co-occur with a lot of other disorders. It primarily occurs in people who are on the autism spectrum. Um, but it doesn't have to. A lot of my friends who are on the autism spectrum do not have alexithymia. I'm actually one of the only friends in my friend group that do have alexithymia, and alexithymia is just feeling extremely disconnected from any emotion at all. Like I don't know how I feel emotionally. I know I feel something, but I don't know what. I usually describe it as I'm okay, I guess. You know, I'm fine. I'm alive. I'm not in a lot of pain. Yada yada. I'm okay, and that's really all I relate my emotions to. But sometimes I can recognize when I do feel a specific emotion, and that's usually through physical feelings. Like I know when I feel angry if I physically feel my face scrunch up and my blood pressure goes up and things like that. I know when I'm like sad if I tend to become more like tired and my body temperature goes down. It's very small things, but anything else besides like those few major emotions, I can't feel. Well, I can feel them, but I can't recognize what they are. So most of the time, my emotions are, ugh, and usually people mistaken my emotions as being pissed off, uh, sad, lonely, or really hyper, and I don't even realize it. Usually, people point that out. I'm like, no, I'm okay. I feel normal, and I don't realize that I feel a specific emotion. It's just not being able to recognize what emotions you feel at all, like, or very difficult to recognize what you feel. Even though I just went on a whole entire tirade about it. I apologize. When I was going in school, I mean, I'm in high school right now, but back when I was in elementary school and things like that, I think some of my teachers knew that I was neurodivergent, and they would help me. I do very, very vaguely remember back in 5th grade that there was a chart that we had in my counselor's office of like a scale of what you feel and how you can calm yourself down and things like that. And well, the only one that worked for me is actually taking deep breaths in and out and stuff like that. Usually I have to stim in order to calm down. Um, but Patricia Taxon did mention something like that uh, when she was in special ed. And since I wasn't, I was always put in just normal people school, I guess. Um, I didn't. really have things like that unless I had to go talk to a counselor or have uh, separate teachers to help me with certain aspects of school. I realize now, because I have been seeing a lot of my old teachers, that I have had a decent amount of teachers that had to help me throughout school in order for me to actually succeed. And I still do. Um, Although they're not external support teachers, they're not like separate teachers that aren't in the classroom. Most of my teachers actually do understand now that I am neurodivergent, uh, because I've been trying to unmask, and they really just let me chill. Mostly, mostly my current math teacher does that. She doesn't really care as long as I get my work done. She doesn't really care. Um, and even then, some of my teachers have helped me deal with uh certain aspects of me being neurodivergent. I did a project not too long ago about alexithymia. I've learned a lot more about it. Um, and my teacher actually let me work by myself because I fucking despise working in groups. I hate it. I dread it because other people don't listen to what I have to say, and then other people don't do work, and I have to do more work even though I designated. It's just a lot of things that didn't go to plan. A lot of things that stress me out. Um, and I prefer to work by myself because I can just do everything. I can control every aspect of everything. I can't do that when I'm in a group. Um, so most of my teachers actually do let me work by myself if I request, unless I'm not allowed to. Uh, It's just I feel like learning that I'm neurodivergent has both made uh, made some things easier to understand, made some things in my life a lot easier to deal with, but on top of that, it brings a significant amount of challenges now. Um, since I'm not even officially diagnosed yet, and I am trying to work for getting a diagnosis, but uh, it's very very difficult. I, I'm even debating if it's even worth it. Um, I know that I am. My imposter syndrome doesn't it tells me that I'm not, but I know that I am. There's just way too much that too many coincidences in order for me just there's too many coincidences that line up uh for me not to be autistic. Uh it's really strange. I feel like being a neurodivergent person, discovering that I'm a neurodivergent person is it's 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 definitely a new world. And it's definitely an experience that I need to get more information about. I need to learn more about and figure out ways to deal with everything. But obviously, the external factors, like job discrimination, harassment, um, and a lot of things like that, will be a huge hurdle to pass by. And really, all I really want is just to make my life a lot easier. Um, a lot easier than it is right now because it's pretty difficult as it is. It's being part of a lot of marginalized groups. One other thing that I really want to see with being neurodivergent is seeing more representation of it, not like any fucking harsh ass representation of it. Just somebody being autistic, just being. I want to see somebody who's like me. I understand there's like shows like Atypical and The Good Doctor who represent characters being autistic, but those I don't align. I feel like I don't align with Atypical and The Good Doctor. I don't know who I align with. It's very hard for me to relate with really any character that is neurodivergent in any fucking show because you know none of the neurodivergent people that I've seen in shows are like POC or uh POC queer or just like have trouble like are attempting really hard or masking because throughout their life they didn't know that they're autistic and then they figure out. I want to see things like that where a person is obviously autistic but they try their best in order to fit in with a society, and I want to see the struggles because I want to see how much that I can relate with it. It's it seems like a thing that is a little bit grim, I guess you could say, but it's stuff that I've been through, and I don't see things like that often, and I wish I did see things like that more often, and I just want to see people who are like me. And yeah, Patricia Saxon is one of the people that I've found, but I don't really. I find a little bit of a harder connection with her. I find a lot of hard connections with people who are neurodivergent, and it's weird. It might just be my imposter syndrome. It might just be a lot of fucking things, but I don't know what I seek. I just want somebody who's like me. I honestly don't know how to end off this video. Um, if you liked it, I guess you can like it. If you didn't, you can do whatever the fuck. I don't really care, to be honest. If you like the video, and would want to see more, you can do whatever the fuck. Um, I want to actually try to start fucking ending my videos like The Truman Show because I really like that movie. So if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.